Okay, right here is a fleet of 1971 Wabco Haulpak 120B off-road mining trucks. The Model 120A Haulpak was officially unveiled by Wabco at the American Mining Congress Show in Las Vegas, Nevada in 1965, and was the first Haulpak truck to utilize an electric drive system from General Electric. The Model 120B would later appear in 1969 as a replacement for the older 120A model. Now let's go and take a closer look at these big trucks. Mounted on the right side of this truck is the diesel fuel tank, which you can see right here, which holds 500 gallons of diesel fuel. And to help give you an idea of the size of a 120B, this truck measures 16 feet 8 inches tall from the ground to the top of the canopy over the operator's cab, and 19 feet 6 inches wide. Here you can see the two air intakes and air cleaners for the engine. And on the front of the truck, you can see the plate that says Wabco. Now, let's talk power. The 120 was introduced at a time when engine manufacturers were slower at developing engines to meet the power requirements of a truck of this size. Because of that, the early model 120As were powered by a Fairbanks Morse 50A6 TCW V12 diesel engine rated at 845 horsepower, which power-wise just didn't cut it. Next on the drawing board was turbine power, which Wabco engineers began experimenting with in 1967. 5 test model 120As were built between 1967 and 1969, each equipped with an 1100 horsepower IH solar turbine, which did solve the high horsepower and lightweight drivetrain issue. However, the fuel consumption and initial cost of the turbine was more than double of a diesel engine at that time, making them uneconomical. By the time the 120B was introduced, 2 standard engine options were offered for the truck, which were a Detroit 12V 149T rated at 920 horsepower and a Caterpillar D348 rated at 910 horsepower. Both engines were V12 configuration. This fleet of 120Bs are equipped with Cummins KTA 2300Cs, which was a special order engine through Wabco. Okay, now let's go up on this big Haulpak. From here you can get a good overview inside the operator's cab of the 120B. Okay, All of the gauges that you see out in front of the steering wheel on the control panel monitor this entire truck when it's in operation. This is the lube oil gauge, the voltmeter, speedometer, tachometer, engine water temperature, and the air pressure gauge. And over here off to the right side control panel, you can see other warning lights to alert the operator in case of a malfunction, and other switches to work other various controls on this truck, such as a switch for the emergency steering, the brake lock, override, and the parking brake switch. Off to the right side, here you can see the control to shift this truck from forward or reverse position. And this hand lever that you see down here, off to the left side below the operator's seat, controls all the functions of the dump box on the back of the truck to raise, hold, float, and lower it. And from right here, you can get a crystal clear view of what the operator would see if he were driving a 120B. On the top of the hood, here you can see the cap to fill the radiator with coolant. And if you look off to the right side, you can see the electrical switch cabinet on the truck. On the left side of this truck, here you can see the hydraulic oil reservoir tank, which holds 120 gallons of hydraulic oil. From underneath here, you can get a good view of the two steering cylinders and the tie rods, which will turn this truck left or right when it's driving. The 120B featured a General Electric DC electric drive system, which consisted of a GE Model GT603 generator and GE Model 772 electric drive motors in the wheel hubs. The 120B featured Wabco's patented Hydrair 2 suspension system, which utilizes nitrogen over hydraulic oil in the suspension struts. How this works is very simple. The wheel assemblies on this truck are attached to a piston that compresses the nitrogen inside of the strut, thus providing the truck with suspension and providing for a smooth ride for the operator. And this truck also employs a 1600 horsepower dynamic braking system. When the 120A was first introduced, the payload capacity was rated at 105 tons. By the time this truck was upgraded to the B model, the payload capacity had increased to range from 110 to 130 tons, depending on tire size. And this big increase in payload was also partially achieved by a larger 16-foot 10-inch wheelbase as opposed to the narrower 15-foot 10-inch wheelbase on the 120A. And as you can see, the boxes on these trucks are equipped with the factory-installed sideboards. and the overall empty operating weight of a 120B is 87 tons. The 120B remained in production until 1975, when Wabco upgraded this truck to the 120C model, which featured many improvements such as additional higher horsepower engine options of up to 1,075 horsepower, and also electrical drivetrain upgrades. In late 1981, the truck was upgraded again to the 120D model, and in mid-1984, Dresser Industries would become the new owner of the Wabco line, and in 1986, the 120D was renamed the Dresser Haulpak 445E. But there they are, a fleet of 1971 Wabco Haulpak 120Bs.